Hey, everybody.
Welcome back to TYT Sports. Brett and I were just sharing a fantastic story about how we both got stung by stingrays. There's, I guess, a warning out in Southern California.
Tis the season.
Tis the season to get stung by
Last year, there were thousands of stingrays.
Well, it's because what I was reading, because of course anytime there's an injury that happens to yourself, you're curious. So you look up online, not WebMD, they just say you have cancer, regardless what it is. But everything else said there's been like a bunch, like 20 or 25 around Santa Monica, all the way down to like Newport Beach.
Yeah, that's it. That's true. Damn.
Oh, watch out.
Ugh.
Wow.
But I went to the emergency room. He's like, I put it in water.
No, it was like boiling hot water and it sucked.
Sucked so
as much as you can bear. So if you ever have a stingray sting, just contact us on Twitter and we'll let you know what it's like.
And then pee on someone is what Dan thinks we should do.
That's not even true. It's the jellyfish
Sucks.
one.
All right, anyway, so last shot takers. I probably start this one over.
So, no, this is perfect. We have to go into our clutch last shot takers. So basically, Uprocks ran a column the other day that said, like, here are the top 10 players that we think should be taking the last shot. And unsurprisingly, Michael Jordan is number one. It's kind of the de facto guy. After that, the list is completely up for debate. I think a lot of people are going to have a problem with number 5 ahead of number 6.
What's the number 2 doing on that list?
Well, so Bill Russell was a very clutch player. Like, you don't win as many titles as Bill Russell did, 11 or so.
I respect Bill Russell.
By doing that, but he also played in such a different era of basketball. Robert Horry's on the list because, I mean, if Robert
Because he actually made clutch shots?
But so many of them.
Right. Well, Robert Horry is going to be open is the thing.
Right.
Like, the difference between Robert Horry at number 3 and, like, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, LeBron, pretty much everyone else on the list, is everyone else has someone on them.
It's true.
Even Ray Allen. But, again, Ray Allen's specific. There was one interview with the Celtics when they first went to that Ray Allen Power 3 team. And they asked each other, like, who are you going to give the ball to in the last second? And they all were like, Ray.
Right, he's like one of the best shooters of a generation.
I'm Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. They're like all very competitive people, and they were like, yeah, Ray Allen's gonna
and
take
in
the
their
shot.
own right, all very clutch shoot. Like Kevin Garnett, one of the, if not the prettiest big man jump shot until we saw Dirk Nowitzki come into the league, which, by the way, another guy who should have been on this list.
Yeah.
Dirk Nowitzki is one of the most clutch players of all time.
I just give him that because he has that follow-away jumper is one that, even if it is defended, like, the reason he has that shot is because people can't actually block it.
Yeah, you can't, which is crazy because you almost, when you're that tall, and although like the NBA now, there's more tall unicorn-esque players that came into the league, 7-footers, like Joel Embiid recently for the 76ers is taking threes, Kristaps Porzingis. Like, you can't guard that jump shot. Kevin Love, a great example too, you can't guard a 6'11" guy shooting you. Like, there's no, like, oh, I have to put my 7-footer, but then everything else becomes open.
And that spreads the floor out, and suddenly you've got a 7-footer away from the hole. So now, what are you going to do?
You give it to Isaiah Thomas, you give it to the 5'10" guy.
Yeah, who's going to go around.
Guy, who's going to go right in. So, back to that list, because, again, don't rip the list. It's just a subjective list. Like, our lists are going to be very different, just in general.
But mine will be right.
But Brett's will be right. So I think the biggest question is, like, out of anybody in history, you're the world's greatest point guard, right?
Thank you.
You're not, but you can't shoot. Like me, you have no shot at all. Like, if you take the last shot, it's not even going to hit the rim. Who are you passing it to on your team of make-believe amazing players?
Like a much taller point guard, Magic Johnson. I would just give it to him. I grew up in L.A. in that era, so it just makes sense to me that I would have him.
Because you watched it happen.
I watched it happen, and I saw some ridiculous play. And regardless, like the shot taker, I would also like the ball in the hands of someone who, if you can't take the shot, is a great distributor too.
Right, that makes sense.
Because like this is kind of a false choice, and I think by picking Magic Johnson, aside from Michael Jordan, who just proved to be number one on the list.
There's not really an argument.
But someone who proved to be a great decision maker and not only like a great playmaker, but also a distributor of the ball. So I think that's a good way to get around it.
See, it's an acceptable answer.
Thank you.
I don't think people are going to get mad by saying Magic Johnson take the last shot.
Thank you.
Like, again, so back to that list really quickly, because the reasoning, I guess they're putting LeBron ahead of Kobe. A couple reasons as to why you could is, for one, you want the ball in LeBron's hands at the end of a game, but you probably want, like, if I had to pick one guy I want the ball in the hands of, even over Magic Johnson, before that shot gets taken, so it's up to him to decide whether or not to take it or pass it, I'm taking LeBron.
Yes.
Or Magic in that sense.
I thought you were going to say Kobe, because if the ball is in Kobe's hands, the only other person who's going to touch it is Mr. Basket.
Right. Because even Kobe in this situation, like, he needed to, like, against that disastrous Game 7 against the Celtics, even though the Lakers won that series, that finals, like, He needed to go, as Bill Simmons will call it, Teen Wolf, and learn, like, you got to pass the ball more, and he started passing. What was he, 4 of 20-something in the finals that game? It was a really bad shooting performance.
I only put in my top 5 list of people that have the ball at the end of the game, I only put Kobe as number 5 because I didn't want to have to talk to him if he didn't get a chance to touch the ball. Like, I don't want to have to deal with Kobe.
Like the locker room afterwards.
Like, geez, he's got nothing else to do right now. He's gonna come over here and beat the crap out of me.
It's probably true.
Or just have like a very stern Zen
Talking
lesson
to.
for me about how to deal with this kind of situation.
Gonna put you in your place.
Who are your top 5?
Michael Jordan's number 1. I think they're leaving out too many guys. Like, for me, like, Dirk Nowitzki's in my top 5.
Yeah.
Like, because he's proven it before. Dwayne Wade is one of the most clutch finishers in the playoffs. I have Kobe Bryant as number 4 and number 5. I want him taking the last shot because it's not so much even just the guy taking the shot and what he's proven. You have to have this this ability to want to take that last shot more than anybody else. And Michael and Kobe, who have the same game almost essentially, like how many videos have we seen of, like Michael Jordan even makes a joke, well, Kobe copied all my moves. And he did. That's why we compare Michael and Kobe so much, because their games look so much alike.
Right.
And they're also at the forefront of being 2 of the most clutch players in history. What I found so interesting is this list, just in general. I wanted to go over like some other numbers from history, and if I can find any of my notes in order. At least in terms of the guys, like the last 2 years, I did a Basketball Reference is amazing.
Yeah.
Sportsreference.com. Because you can narrow down a search to this. Are you ready?
Okay, I wanted
to know. I wanted to know in the last 5 years, like year by year, in the last 3 minutes of a game, in the playoffs, to tie or take the lead.
Right.
Right?
Amazing. That's insane.
And they give it to you year by year. In the past 2 years, the most field goals made, and by the way, this is such a small number, I found this amazing. The most field goals made in the past 2 years to tie or take the lead with 3 minutes left in the game in fourth quarter OT last year, Steph Curry, 3.
Right.
That's the number 1. Enes Kanter was number 2.
Really?
Steph Curry, 2014, 2015, 3.
You know what Cantor's doing is like, little putbacks of like selfish play
but
from
it's
his
crazy
teammates.
because it's such like a clutch time. The other thing I found amazing is how inefficient every play. We think in our heads.
Right.
Like Damian Lillard, he's such a clutch shooter, and I agree that he is. And Russell Westbrook can finish, right? Russell Westbrook had the most field goals made, right, in that same category. 2013, 2014, though, he was 4 of 15.
Yeah.
Like LeBron James, he was in the Heat years, he was like 3 of 5. But so many of these guys shoot like 30% in the clutch time, which also just proves how difficult it is to make these baskets.
Yeah, because the refs are probably going to let them play a little more. There's going to be more contact.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a difficult position for anybody to be in at the end of the game, and ideally, you don't want to be in that position, and who knows what else is going on that leads you to be in that situation. I do think that there's probably an element of over-coverage of stars who are able to make that last-second shot, which inflates our perception of their ability to make that happen in the clutch.
Correct, because in a coaching sense, if you're a coach and you're like, the Warriors this year are an anomaly, but like in the past, like the idea is we'd rather have Kyrie Irving with the ball in his hands to take that 3 than LeBron James. We would rather have Russell Westbrook have the ball in his hands than Kevin Durant. So triple team Kevin Durant, we really don't want that guy taking the shot. Like no matter what, and in the course, like in the Heat years, like Ray Allen was open because what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
You can't triple team Bosh, Wade, James.
Right.
You don't have enough players. So like that's also part of the reason that Robert Horry fits in that case. You can't let Shaq get the ball. You can't let Kobe get the ball.
Yeah. I love that. That's why Robert Horry, I was like, that's the smartest thing you could do throughout that period was just put Robert Horry as your third option. And that was back in the day when you'd have max 2 options on a team.
That's also true. Like you had Shaq and Kobe. Like that was your big 2. There wasn't a big 3 at that point. And really quick to go back, like don't forget Michael Jordan was getting double. He had to pass to Steve Kerr, who won him a championship. Like Steve Kerr at the game winner over the Jazz. Was it 2000? No, the Jazz was Michael Jordan the shot. This was Cleveland, right? Yes, correct. Nice, Dan. Very nice. But I also I have 2 other charts, 2 fun charts. There's a guy who wrote for the Liberty Ballers, and he did a fantastic job, but this is back in 2012. So it's a little bit outdated, but it doesn't, because there's not a big enough sample size from like Curry, Westbrook, Durant. Well, Durant, yes. Here's the clutch players since 2000. In terms of, like, this is like the same, it's within 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter overtime. This is just like I did it in order of field goal percentage. Like Tim Duncan, like wasn't missing shots. LeBron, believe it or not.
Good job.
Steve Nash was one of the ones that stood out there. Jason Terry and Dirk. And like you see guys like Ray Allen and Andre Miller. Like I found this to be
You mean Richard Pryor?
I mean Richard Pryor. That's really funny. And it shows like their best. Like at times Duncan was shooting 55%, and at times Duncan was shooting 36%. Like that makes sense. Obviously the 3-pointers for Duncan. I just can't believe he made 2. Like how many? Like when did Duncan hit
This
threes?
just says I'm going to give the ball to my best player.
There's nothing
my
new about
most
this.
reliable player, because if they're the most reliable throughout the game, odds are they're going to be equally as reliable throughout the crunch time.
Yeah, that's why guys like Jason Terry stand out. Like of all people. And then the next chart is even more clutch. It has to do with the guys I think that had to tie or take the lead also since 2000. If we go to the next graphic. There we go. Final minute since 2000. So this is like your biggest of all time clutch moments. I don't know what Gordon's doing on there. Regardless, it shows you once again how amazing Dirk was, but it also shows you that in our heads, the perception is, oh my God, Kobe, he was like a 58% shooter in clutch time. No, he wasn't. He was 34, 35%. Ray Allen, 35%. Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot in the final minute since 2000, 28% shooter.
But look at Kobe. He's got 80 field goal, 230
he has the
80
most
field goal attempts. Like that's the thing about Kobe that was so frustrating from the point of view of someone who's an LA Laker fan.
He took so many
shots.
He's
just going to take so many shots, and it's so frustrating because he's not running through any of the options that are going to help his team win and maybe actually get him the ball back before the buzzer goes off.
I also look at I think what's interesting, like assisted. How many times did you assist on the game winners or like in the final minute?
Yeah.
Like I'm shocked LeBron is so low, then you go back and you go, well, before 2010, his teammates couldn't play.
Also, if you're thinking about LeBron, he went through an area where he was distributing the ball too much. And
That's
then
true.
He's like, all right, it is my turn to step forward and just be myself.
Yeah, LeBron's worst 9%.
9%.
Oh my God.
So bad.
So fascinating. So the average, which I also found interesting, the average of the most clutch shooters. Could you name me more clutch shooters since 2000? No, maybe add AI in that list. 33%. That's the average shot made in the final minute from like our most clutch guys. This is fascinating to me.
I get it. My list was Magic Johnson, Ray Allen, Robert Horry, Reggie Miller. The guy scored a lot of points in 8 seconds, was it?
Yes.
He did it once.
Spike Lee doesn't like him that much.
I don't know if that's like, the one time you hit all, like, everything is like a Joker Wild on the slot machine, and it's never going to happen again with Reggie Miller. But
no,
Reggie Miller's such like a pure, amazing shooter.
So unfortunately, they don't have they do have some numbers, not nearly as in depth since 2007. Like all these specific. It's tough to even find the Michael Jordan in the final.
Right,
gotcha.
gotcha.
You have to watch the tape.
Yeah. And then finally was Kobe, was my number 5.
Kobe number 5. All right, it's a good list. Comment below, like, favorite, subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way. Who do you think is the most? Actually, who do you want taking the last shot? If you outside of Michael Jordan, make it fun.
And beside Teen Wolf, not Teen Wolf.
And maybe Teen Wolf, not Teen Wolf.